Spring is here and many people are itching to get their gardens going along with planting flowers, trees and shrubs. Now there's a right way and a wrong way of doing these things, so we thought we'd enlist an expert today. Karen Barby is the co-owner of Green Haven Garden Centers here in Lethbridge. Welcome to Bridge City News, Karen.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Tell me a bit about Green Haven. It's been around a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, it's about 42 years now.
Wow.
But it started out small it's easier for us to do it that way, and just growing, and we thoroughly enjoy letting everybody have a great chance with gardening.
Now, when it comes to planting veggies, I'm a big fan of cucumbers and tomatoes, and they actually thrive in our environment, don't they?
They do. They love our heat. They love our sunshine, and we can certainly look after them quite well. There's lots of varieties that grow here.
And peppers too, do they thrive as well?
Peppers do. You don't see quite the same as the big sweet ones that come out of California, but we can grow some pretty nice peppers.
Now, how about veggies that have to be planted a little bit later because they're more sensitive? Let's talk a bit about those.
Those would be peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, the squash family. Can't stand it too cold, so we're just right on target now for getting those plants in the ground.
Now, is it true that if you seed several times throughout the spring, maybe every 10 days or so, you can prolong your harvest of baby vegetables and the tender greens too?
You can. Those would be more things like lettuce, spinach, radishes, up to a certain point. I don't know too many people that would do something like peas or beans, do that successive seeding, it's called. Carrots. Carrots are another one, though, that they do too.
What are some of the veggies that maybe have a tough time in southwestern Alberta?
Oh, the
as
ones,
hard as we try.
Yes,
right?
The ones that need a long time. We get some dedicated people. They try things like okra. We sell peanut seeds, believe it or not, to grow a peanut plant. We don't grow the plants themselves, but needs a long, long growing season. We don't quite have that. And we have the cool night still. So that they need that hotter nighttime temperature to keep going.
What's the best way to really garden our soil, like really prepare it properly?
Oh, you know, I just love it when people can fix the soil up first before they start planting. Compost is excellent. Manures like the composted sheep manure, compost steer manure, great. We have a new soil, it's called a fish soil.
Oh.
So yes, it's made from fish and sort of wood fines, it's called. And it's beautiful dark soil, and tomatoes especially love that because they like an acidic type of soil. So anything that you can do to get the soil good before you plant makes a bonus.
So when we have that compost in the side of the yard, dig up some of that compost and put it right in, mix it in with the soil?
Yeah. And just mix it around for the plant. You don't have to fill in the whole garden area, but make sure you get that plant area so that the roots are going to take it right away.
Any advice, Karen, on naturally controlling our weeds and preventing the bugs from destroying a lot of our vegetation?
Well, weeds are part of our whole makeup, it seems like. The weeds that we do have, you end up pulling them is the easiest way when they're small. Chemicals are not a good idea, especially in a vegetable garden. There is a couple of organic weed sprays, one that will work in lawns that won't kill your lawn, that's iron-based, and the other one is in your vegetable garden and it's vinegar-based. So it's not like straight vinegar, but you still have to be careful you don't get it on your good plants. And anything to do with insects, you just watch. When you have healthy soil, healthy plants, and good air movement, don't put your plants too close together.
You know what's interesting about dandelions? Many years ago, there was dandelion soup, dandelion salads, a lot of nutritional value. Now people look at it as the enemy.
I know.
How times have changed, right?
Yeah, they really, and you can see it. And dandelions are a plant that introduced, and so they've sort of taken over. You keep mowing them. Digging is probably still the best way, but it tends to be a little bit backbreaking it too.
What's the best way to grow some nice, big, healthy tomatoes?
Oh, they love that soil. So, and fertilizer. We sell a lot of different kinds of fertilizer, organic fertilizers. They need constant water, so just moist. They don't like to dry out. They don't like to be in too much shade, so a lot of sunshine. We get people that are successful with them growing them in pots, in containers, in a potting soil, but then really regular watering for those. And yeah, weekly fertilizing. We sell a fertilizer spike that's already compressed fertilizer that you can stick it right beside your plant.
Fertilizer with an attitude.
Yeah, and it fertilizes all season long. So that's another great way to do it.
How about the varieties of tomatoes? Does it matter?
Oh, it doesn't matter, but you know, it seems to be easier to grow the cherry tomatoes. They don't have as many problems. You get hundreds, but there's just, everybody has their own personal favorite.
And they're like candy. You just pop them right in, right?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, there's one called Sweet Million, and it is. It's just as sweet as candy.
How about growing a healthy strawberry patch? And maybe raspberries too.
Yes, they both do well here. They actually don't mind the cool springs, so they're doing really good this time of year. Again, water, water, water for them, because strawberries, the fruit, are all water. So water, really critical to water June, July. To fill
like first thing in the morning, watering?
Yeah,
or?
It's nice if you can. Not everybody can, but at least when you water the root system and not get water all over the leaves. Most of our plants don't like to be watered on the leaf. If you're watering in the morning, then the leaf dries out throughout the day. And so a good heavy water is a better way to do it than a light sprinkle.
I'm a big fan of rhubarb pie, like rhubarb, strawberry rhubarb pie.
Yes.
That rhubarb, you can't kill it. You can rip it out, you can pour gas and burn it. It keeps coming back. Why is it so hardy?
It's the toughest root there is, I think.
Yeah.
Again, it loves our soil. We do have I tend to have a clay kind of a soil. It can handle a little bit more manure added to it. Doesn't like it too hot though. Some people have actually killed their rhubarb.
What?
Because they had it in too hot of a place, but not too many. And it just produces really well here.
What are the do's and don'ts when it comes to growing beautiful rose bushes?
Roses like to have a lot of sun, so we're very good at that. We have good sunshine. I find they do better if they face east or if they face south because they're getting the full sun. They don't particularly like the really strong west wind. And we now have hardy roses as well as tender roses. Tender are the ones that you have to protect for the winter, and you bury the root, the graft, you bury it 4 inches below the soil level.
Now, you're a big fan of trees, like a lot of us are, offer the shade. I love decorating them up at Christmas time with all the Christmas lights as well, like the blue spruce trees. When is the best time to plant the evergreen and spruce trees?
You can plant trees actually that are in pots, container growing, the whole growing season. So from end of April when they're available until the end of October, till the ground freezes. Just that you do have to do a little bit different work for planting later on in the season. You have to make sure that it's well protected for the winter. Doesn't have quite as strong a root system. In the springtime, when we're planting in May into June, they have time to get roots on them.
How about people that like to plant pine trees, and then there's the pine beetle infestation, the problem there?
Yeah, that's more of a northern Alberta problem because it's more of lodgepole pine, and we don't have lodgepole pine growing that much in the city. Waterton is also a concern. They do, and they have had that pine beetle attack them.
How big of a hole should we actually plant when it comes to trees?
Well,
you know, how deep
yes,
and how wide?
Yeah, it's
the diameter?
I always thought that you should go like really big, really deep, but now they're finding that you're better to go about 1.5 times the size of the container it's in, width-wise, and only a little bit deeper. The root system, you want to make sure that the tree is introduced to some of its original soil, but still adding compost, peat moss, manure, in those forms to help loosen up our clay soil, but not make it so fine that the roots don't want to leave home and go out to the other soil.
Can we accidentally overwater because we want the roots to actually take root, right, and dig deep, so they're not dwarfed and just kind of like, I'm just going to stay here. I like being watered every second day.
Yes, we can, and that actually makes a very weak plant. We've seen a bit of problem with that. The overwatering is more so what we're seeing is when people have underground sprinklers and they're turning them on more and keeping those trees actually too wet.
How about leafy trees and shrubs? When's the best time to plant those?
Those, same thing.
Yeah.
The little bit trickier in July and August if it's really hot, as it was last summer. You do need to plant actually evening. So you do your planting, get everything ready in the heat of the day if you can, and then actually physically plant the tree towards evening after supper. Has all night to get over the shock of being planted because those leaves will take moisture, the roots will take moisture from the leaf to compensate for being disturbed.
What's the best age of tree that we can plant? Is there any age? Like you can take a full-grown tree as seedling? What would you recommend? Somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between. Seedling has to, it dries out more, but it takes a little bit more care to get it established. A larger tree takes longer time to regain its roots. So a medium-sized tree in a pretty good-sized pot, you see that growth happening in the future years really quick. The roots will take easier on a smaller tree, and then so the tree will actually grow more consistently.
What are some of the hardier tree varieties that we have here in southwestern Alberta? So we don't have to worry about maybe more low maintenance, just let them do their thing. They like it dry and hot.
Well, our native tree actually is the cottonwood poplar.
Oh.
Yeah, the trees that are growing in the river bottom here, those would be the native trees. So seedless cottonwood poplar is called a sergeant poplar. So it's a male tree, doesn't get the seed, the cotton. So you don't get the mess, but you get
I was going to say for people who have allergies,
tree,
right?
Yes, you don't get that mess, but you get this massive tree that most homeowners don't have room for now. So we are looking at using more trees that can handle our drought conditions. That would be along the lines of green ash. A lot of the flowering crabapple, Mayday trees are good. Choke cherries, there's choke cherries as well, and they can all handle this kind of temperatures that we have.
How about trees that the root system likes to seek out water lines?
As in willow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because some homeowners are concerned about that, what they're planting on their property.
Yeah.
Because down the road, it may cause some damage, right?
It can. The willows will look for the easiest way though, so they're not going to wrap themselves around roots. But if you had a wood basement, you'd want to be careful with the willow. And if you have to make sure that you deep water that tree to begin with to set the roots deep. And if you're a person that likes to water lots, then a willow's a perfect tree.
You know what I've noticed since I moved to southwestern Alberta? I see so many of my neighbors, they have rock lawns, gravel on their lawns instead of actual grass because of how hot it gets here in the summertime, right? Yeah. But for those of us that do prefer grass, when is the best time and how much should we water?
Well, they always say that the best amount of water is about 1 inch a week. Okay. So we had 1 inch of rain, I believe, last on the weekend, sort of. So you could look at it, oh, I don't need to water again until Saturday. And if you have a sprinkler system, sometimes they go on 3 times a week, but they're set so they give you about 1 inch of water a week. And it makes the grass stay very green. For those people that don't have the irrigation or don't want to water that much, the grass won't die, it just isn't quite as green in areas. So
which variety of grass is the hardiest or will really flourish here? Kentucky bluegrass or?
It's actually a finer grass and needs more moisture, more water, but the red fescue, the creeping red fescues are the grasses that can take more drought.
Now, when it comes to mowing the lawn, Karen, as well, some people like to, I only want to mow my lawn maybe once every 2 weeks or whatever, and they cut it really short. But the danger with that is that you can actually burn your lawn, right?
Yes, you can scalp. I call that scalping, but
right.
Yeah, and then because the sun comes out and it actually burns right through the lawn, right to the roots, and causes some damage.
So how short should we go?
You should go about 2 inches, so it'd be about 5 centimeters or so.
How about quackgrass?
Oh, quackgrass is not my favorite. Oh, that's one thing that is always a challenge. Quackgrass spreads by roots, so if you try and dig it or pull it, you're actually encouraging it.
Wow.
Yes, and I have to say that this is the time that I talk about Roundup. As quackgrass and Roundup will kill it, but it'll kill any grass. But if you can get the root system killed with the Roundup, you don't have it coming back.
Tell me about some of the rewards. I mean, you've been with Greenhaven Garden Center over 40 years now. What do you enjoy most about working there?
Oh, I love the plants, and I love the people that come in and visit us about the plants. I just love everything to do with all kinds of new plants.
Does anybody ever throw you a curveball? You're like, I don't know how to quite answer that.
Oh.
I'll have to do some research and get back to you, or have you seen it all already?
No, I see that daily.
Oh.
Daily. There's still questions and things, and got to find out. Not sure about that one.
I'll get back to you, right?
Yeah, yes.
Awesome. Karen Barby, co-owner with Greenhaven Garden Center in Lethbridge, thanks a lot for joining me in studio today.
Thank you, Hal.
On behalf of all of us here at BCN, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless and have a great night.